Free Ranjan. That's a demand many Sri Lankans are making, not only in Sri Lanka, but all over the world. I am making the same demand on behalf of many Sri Lankan Americans, and we invite Sri Lankans in USA and all over the world to join in making the same demand. Because Ranjan's present term is unjust and it's against all accepted legal norms and against the Sri Lankan constitution and international conventions. We ask the presidential pardon for Ranjan from President Gotabaya Rajapaksa as he has the authority given to him by the people in Sri Lanka to pardon prisoners, including political prisoners such as Ranjan Ramanayake, a former minister and a vocal opponent of the present Rajapaksa regime, and a strong political activist against corruption and injustice. I also want to thank many international organizations who are showing a strong interest in Ranjan Ramanayake and open to have conversations on his behalf to get his release as soon as possible. Now, let me very briefly outline a few things. Ranjan was sent to prison because he said most of the judges in Sri Lanka are corrupt. Now, this was given wide publicity by the pro-government TV channels. Then, few individuals, some say with the blessings of some politicians in the present government, made a petition against him to the Supreme Court. Now, according to the Sri Lankan constitution, this petition could have brought either before the appeal courts or the Supreme Court. But for some unknown reason, this was filed before the Supreme Court. If it was filed with the appeal courts, Ranjan would have the opportunity to file an appeal against the verdict. He was denied the right to appeal. Now, in Ranjan's trial, according to my understanding, about 108 witnesses were listed to give evidence on behalf of Ranjan, so he could prove that most of the judges were corrupt, what he said. But only 3 witnesses were allowed to testify. For example, he was not allowed to call former President Maithripala Sirisena or former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who had gone on record saying a certain former Chief Justice of Sri Lanka came to them and pleaded to keep him in the office, saying he will deliver all the judgments to their favor. Now, it's one example of a corrupt judge, but Ranjan was denied proving that. Ranjan was punished because he did not apologize for his comments. Now, judges have indicated that if he had apologized, the verdict would have been different. Now, if someone believed in what he said and willing to prove what he said, why that person should be apologizing? Is there a reason for giving such unreasonable and unjust verdict against that person just because he refused to apologize? Now, those are the questions for any justice-minded citizen or for the world organizations. Now, as we know, Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights of the United Nations says everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression, and this right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Now, Sri Lanka is a signatory for this convention. The freedom of speech is also enshrined in the Sri Lankan constitution. There's a recent case in India. Prashant Bhushan was charged with contempt of court because of two tweets he published. One tweet is blaming the Indian Supreme Court in quote unquote destructing India's democracy for the past 6 years. And the second tweet was a picture of the then Chief Justice of India riding a motorcycle, kind of a negative way it was depicted. Now, well, after a trial, Prashant Bhushan was found guilty of criminal contempt. What do you think the verdict, the punishment he got? Do you think he got punishment of 4 years, 2 years, 3 years? No, not even a jail term. The punishment he got was a fine of 1 Indian rupee. 1 Indian rupee. There's another case, in the case of P.N. Dua versus Shiva Shankar and others. The Indian Supreme Court held that mere criticism of the court does not amount to contempt of court. The court observed, the Indian court, Supreme Court observed, that in the free market of ideas, criticisms about the judicial system or judges for that matter should be welcome, so long as such criticisms do not impair or hamper the administration of justice. Now, my point is, Ranjan Ramanayake was treated unjustly. He was persecuted due to his vocal opposition to the Rajapaksa family and corruption. Now, accusations against him were used to get all the corrupt family members and their political cronies go free from previously filed criminal cases. The fact is, there's not even a proper law to bring charges against contempt of court in Sri Lanka. That's the irony of this. Now, a few days ago, there was a verdict against Daya Master. One of the leaders in the LTT was accused of many things, crimes against humanity and abducting and all kinds of crimes, especially terrorist activities. Now, Vaunia Court has given a 2-year sentence for Daya Master and had suspended that sentence for 5 years. I don't have any issue with that. That's not my point. My point is, Ranjan is in prison not because he was a suspected terrorist or for rape or for murder or even looting taxpayers' money. He was in prison because he said what he believes was the truth and he refused to apologize. That is what we call freedom of speech. Well, sometimes we say all 225 MPs in Sri Lanka are corrupt and should be sent to jail or some other things. But it does not mean that every single MP is corrupt. What it means is majority of them are corrupt. You don't get persecuted for that. Same way with judges. Of course, there are so many corrupt judges, and they give bad name for those good judges who want to uphold the law and want to protect the rule of law. Now, for example, we know about judges who raped their domestic aides. It's in public domain. We know a former Chief Justice who apologized to the nation that he purposely let go free a politician who he should have sent to jail, and later who became a head of the state. So these are some examples of corrupt judges. Now, anyway, I met Ranjan few weeks ago when I visited him in prison in Sri Lanka with my wife Vayoni. And he was in good spirits and is happy that the majority of people think that he is unjustly punished, persecuted. His prison term was unjust and he should be released. That's what most of the people in Sri Lanka and in the world, all over the world, thinks. Sooner the better. And we hope and pray that Ranjan will be free on February 4th, the day the Sri Lankans got freedom from the British Empire. We hope and pray that we do not have to launch the major international campaign to get Ranjan released, that the international campaign we are planning. I'm sure Sri Lanka has enough problems with the international community and do not need another. So we hope to see Ranjan free.